Hello viewers, welcome to the session on EMW. Well, EMW sounds like BMW. What I mean to say by EMW is English for my world. English for my world. In this program, I'll be trying to help you communicate confidently, fluently, and pleasantly. To begin with, English is at the heart of globalization. It's a library language, link language, window on the world. We know all this. But the problems that Indians face while speaking or using the language are numerous. We need English for personal, academic, professional, and social purposes. So, what is the key? How to use this confidently? Confidence is the key. To use language effectively, we need confidence. And to develop confidence, one should practice. One should have the perseverance. By the word perseverance, I mean to say, to continue in spite of criticism, failure, opposition, difficulty. To keep your efforts on until you gain the confidence, until you use the language effectively. Right. When you learned cycling in your younger days, you must have failed several times. When you learned riding a bike, driving a car, you must have had several trial and error methods. When you learned your computer classes, there were several highs and lows, ups and downs. Language is the same thing. We learn the skill of speaking in English or writing in English, reading English or listening to English. In the same way, like we learned or like you learned, maybe riding a cycle, riding a bike, driving a car, or even swimming. They're all skills. Language is learned by imitation, by observation. So when we observe, when we imitate the role model speakers, exemplary speakers, we try to acquire, we try to hone the goodness of the language, and we leave the rest. Language comes by listening. So a good listener is a good speaker, and a good speaker is a good listener. A good reader is a good writer, and a good writer is a good reader. You see, that's the interlink. As we go on, there are negative critics all the time who pass on negative comments. Do not lose your heart. Take those negative comments as positive challenges to press on with increased energy. You can win. You will win. Language is guided by 6 factors. Several linguists have experimented on this, and they have come up with these 6 language guiding factors. They are who, what, where, when, why, and how. To begin with, who, my first question, I'm trying to answer it. The language that we use while talking to a teacher is different. The language that we use when we talk to a parent is different. Friend is different. I and my neighbor or colleague is different. For instance, I can ask my friend, hey, pass on the salt please, while sitting on a dining table. I cannot use the same degree when I talk to my mother or talk to my father. I'll have to say, Mom, could you please pass on the salt? Dad, could you please pass the salt, please? So I'm trying to bring in a lot of politeness into that, courteousness into that when I speak to elders. When it is my same age group, the kind of language differs. I'm trying to be more informal, more friendly, more easy in the way I communicate. That is the who factor. What is that we are trying to communicate? What is that we are trying to express? For instance, when we talk about a cricket match, the language that is used is different. When we talk about an exam that is going to take place tomorrow, the language is different. When I talk about a cricket match, I can say, I think Dhoni must have batted well. He must have been sent in some other place. He has lost that form. There are no that helicopter shots are not to be seen nowadays while talking about Dhoni, cricket match. The same thing when I talk about an exam to take place tomorrow. There is certain amount of seriousness in that. The degree of formality differs because I know my exam is important for me. So I use the words very carefully because I need to write my exam tomorrow morning. So I need to remember everything very carefully and reproduce it in the exam that I'm going to take tomorrow morning. So imagine if I'm writing an English exam, I'm more careful about the kind of characters, the kind of dialogues if it is literature. There is a certain amount of seriousness in that. So my what factor determines what language to communicate, what language to learn, what language to practice. After this what, I am now going to the next factor, that is where. Because while I am talking to you on this TV channel, my language is totally different. When I go back home and when I talk to my people at home, it's purely a completely friendly language. They ask me, hey, how was the program? It was good, wonderful, excellent, fantastic. I use lots of adjectives and I try to be as informal as possible with them. But when I talk to you, I'm trying to be as official as possible, as formal as possible, as standard as possible in the way I communicate to you. So who, what, where. So the place decides the language. The venue decides the language. Coming to the next one, that is when. When I'm saying when to communicate what? So in terms of time, point of time and duration of time, both are important for my communication. What is the amount of time that I'm given? And when should I begin? When should I end? When should I use something to help my listener? Some examples, some more details. For example, locating a particular address. The time I have is only 2 minutes, and in the given 2 minutes I will have to direct him to reach the place. How do I direct him? I'll give him lots of landmarks. I'll tell him, while you are riding your bike, to your left you have a police station. Drive a bit down. To your right you will get a bank. We are on the 2nd floor. Don't take left, don't turn right, drive straight. So In the given time, I will have to fulfill the task of directing him. That decides when. When. After completing who, what, where, when, why all this communication? This decides my language. I need English to thank people. Thank you very much. So kind of you. So thoughtful of you. I need English to apologize. I am terribly sorry for being late. I am awfully sorry. Please accept my apologies. I am trying to apologize. Direct, instruct, support, guide, appreciate. Where we use lots of adjectives. All the adjectives are positive language. Wonderful, fantastic, marvelous. There you are. Great job. Well done. Good going. All are adjectives, completely positive language. We are trying to appreciate, compliment a person on achieving something, congratulate somebody on achieving something. So, why factor decides what are the functions we do with English, and if these are the functions, what are the words that I use to do those functions. So knowing English and doing English is what we do in why. When I know the purpose, I know how to do the purpose with the help of the vocabulary, the grammar support, and the correct pronunciation, the modulation, the diction, the rhythm, the intonation, whatever we call. How to do that? The last one, how? For instance, when you send an SMS on mobile phone, you don't write a lengthy SMS because the meaning of SMS itself is short message service. I repeat, it is short message service. Imagine your boss invited you for his son's marriage. Because of some unavoidable circumstances or unforeseen circumstances, you are not in a position to attend the wedding. How do you send the message? Do you write a lengthy letter there, or do you write a short message to convince him, to satisfy him by saying, kindly apologize me, sir, for not being able to attend the marriage? Maybe 1 or 2 sentences. Kindly apologize me for not being able to attend the marriage. I'll talk to you more in person. If the same thing is written in the form of a letter, an official letter, the formality is different, the words that are used are different, the communication style is different, the persuasion is different, and you will try your best to convince your boss in the best possible language that you can use. Probably you would start with greetings to you, and then you will go on saying, in view of unavoidable circumstances, in view of things beyond my control, I could not attend the marriage. One of my relatives got hospitalized all of a sudden, and I had to attend him. Kindly accept my apologies. You will end the letter. So, the function and the purpose determines the language. And this is how language is guided by these 6 factors. I would also like to give a sort of self-introduction, since we spoke about all the language factors so far. How do we introduce in the first place when we meet somebody? How do we do that? We say, the first thing that we say is, how do you do? And surprisingly, When you ask someone, how do you do? The response of the opposite person is, I'm fine, thank you, how are you? Well, the response for how do you do is not, I'm fine, thank you, how are you? The response for how do you do is, how do you do? Just like we have namaste in Indian tradition, Indian custom, how do you do is just a pleasant greeting when you meet somebody for the first time. And the response for that is, how do you do? And after that, you will start introducing yourself by giving your full name. Interestingly, people, for instance, if the name is Vijay Kumar says, hello, myself I am Vijay Kumar, maybe by shaking hands. Well, myself I am Vijay Kumar may not be acceptable grammatically. So, it's always better if we say, hello, I am Vijay Kumar. Because myself and I am both are not proper words that collocate. After that, when you meet him or her, you will try to go on talking more about your profession, occupation, the place where you come from, and maybe your age. When you talk about your occupation or profession, you would introduce yourself maybe as a student or a professional, a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer or an accountant. And then comes the place that you come from. You say, I come from Chennai. I hail from Kolkata. I am from Bangalore. I am a native of Mumbai. So, observe all the expressions where for the same place, where in India we call it as native place, we use different expressions such as I come from, I hail from, I am from, I am a native of. All are used to say that I belong to a particular place or I come from this particular place. Right? Maybe you will go on talk about your hobbies after you complete talking about the place. Because when you talk about the place, people may be more interested to relate with you, maybe because you come from that particular place, or maybe because you have been to that place. So there is more of several conversation happening there. Coming to hobbies, people are interested where you hang out or freak out in your free time. What do you do in your free time? What are your favorite hobbies? I'm talking about maybe in a party, in a get-together, in a prayer meeting, in an official gathering, wherever it is. So, common phrases, expressions that are used are, I love reading. I'm a good cook. I like playing cricket. Well, I would love to freak with my friends in my free time. I like to go out for shopping. Several kinds of hobbies for several kinds of people. And the conversation goes on and on and on. So, we have seen language importance in terms of confidence. We have seen the 6 language guiding factors and the kind of words that we need to express ourselves depending on the function, depending on the situation. And we have seen a brief example of introducing oneself. I hope the session has been useful, and I hope now you can introduce yourself pleasantly and confidently. Thank you for watching.